Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Murcha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Ezekiel, the 39th chapter. And this is pretty much a continuation from the 38th chapter, which in the 38th chapter we read about the Lord bringing Russia, known here as Gog or Magog, against the land of Israel, also the U.S., which this is all going to take place during the Third World War, and so we basically read a little bit about that over there. So as we read here in Ezekiel 39, starting from verse 1, it reads, "Therefore, thou son of man, prophesy against Gog, and say." Now remember that Ezekiel, once again, to remind us of the context of what's happening here, during all these chapters, Ezekiel is still in Babylon, right? This is especially in concerning Ezekiel 38 and Ezekiel 39. These are events that were going to happen thousands of years after the time of Ezekiel. So as the Lord tells him to prophesy against Gog and say, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee." So keep in mind that though the Lord is going to use Russia to bring destruction and play a key role in this Third World War, it does not mean that they have favor of any sort in the eyes of the Lord, because they're still adversaries to the Lord. They're just a piece, on the Lord's chessboard that he is using. And we're going to find out, why I say that as we keep reading. So verse 2, "And I will turn thee back and leave but the sixth part of thee, and will cause thee to come up from the north parts, and will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel." So basically, when the Lord, as we read in Ezekiel 38, causes Russia and, their armies to come against Israel, as it says here, he's going to leave a sixth part, right? To cause them to leave a sixth part of thee, which is really going into the divisions of their army. So they're not going to bring the entirety of and clear out their whole country of their troops and just send them all to war. They're going to leave a sixth of their troops, back at home to defend. "And as a reason, I will cause thee to come up from the north parts," which, as we read before, when you look up at where Israel is, north, you have where Russia is at, so that place would be considered, northward. It says, "And will bring thee upon the mountains of Israel. And I will smite thy bow out of thy left hand, and will cause thine arrows to fall out of thy right hand," which ultimately the Lord is basically saying that he's going to, after using Russia to come against Israel to bring that destruction and partake in that war, he's going to basically strip them, of their power, make them defenseless, because he's going to destroy them as well. Now, if you're dealing in the sense of this metaphor, one that has a bow and an arrow, if you were to take out their bow and their arrow, which is their weapon or their defense, they become defenseless, right? So verse 4, Thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and the people that is with thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured." So once again, though the Lord is gonna send them to war, and they're gonna go and cause that destruction, then he's gonna bring that destruction upon them. And that's why they're gonna fall over there along with their armies. Remember, pursuant to 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, during this world wars, when Yahushua is gonna make his return. And when he makes his return, all these nations, they're going to stop fighting each other, and they're going to turn to fight against the Lord. But as the prophet Ezra saw, the Lord completely destroyed them. He sent those lasers from his chariots and completely annihilated them. So Russia and all those armies with the Iranians and the Turkey and Armenia and all of them, they're all gonna fall in that region, right? That's why it's known as Yahweh Shaphat, okay, or Jehoshaphat, which is the Lord's judgment. And that's why it goes on to say that I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Yeah, so pretty much after war, when you have, remains, dead bodies, carcasses, and stuff like that on the field, you have those scavengers that come about to eat. And that's what the Lord is saying here. In other chapters as well, the Lord has promised these birds a feast, which is going to be the remains, the dead bodies from this war. Verse 5, thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it, saith the Lord Yahweh. So a part of the prophecy, a part of the things the Lord declared was use, and that's why the Most High is the ultimate chess player, right? Use one nation to come against another in order to cause one part of prophecy to be fulfilled. And then once they've been, they serve their purpose, you take them out, which is what the Lord is going to do. So when prophecy is getting hot, we're mentioning Russia getting ready to launch missiles over here and all these different things. It's not that we support Russia or we support Iran or we support any nation over the other. We're just watching prophecy unfold, and we know that for certain steps to be accomplished, certain countries or certain individuals need to make certain moves. So really, we're excited to see those moves made. It's not that we're, declaring support for one nation over another. Verse 6, and I will send a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the islands, right? Because remember that it's not just going to be Russia that's in this region, and neither is it going to be just Russia that comes against Israel. They're going to come with their bands, their armies, which a few of them were mentioned with their allies in Ezekiel the 38th chapter. And they shall know that I am the Lord. And how are they going to know that the Lord is the Lord? By way of the judgment that he executeth, as the scriptures say. All right, so now let's get a quick precept on this, right? The Lord said he will send a fire upon Magog, right? Because they're going to come against Israel, and then the Lord said he's going to send that fire upon them. So real quick, let's go to the book of Revelation chapter 20, verse 8, just getting the point here. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. Now this is referring on to Esau, after the Dark Ages, when they came back up into power, as through the different European nations, the Spanish, the French, the British, and they basically went about to deceive the world. So when you read in Revelation 20, specifically here in verse 7, as it reads, and when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. This Satan isn't talking about the spiritual demon, but rather Esau, Edom, a nation of people on the earth who were loosed out of their prison, meaning they came up out of that low state and rose up to a position of power to where they could go out and deceive the nations, which is why the whole world is confused today, because of the deception and lies that they've pushed out. And that's why they come against us, because we are undoing and unraveling and revealing the truth behind all those lies. So as it reads, which are in the four quarters of the earth. And then you have this second part, the second thought right here, which goes into Russia, right? So it says here, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea, right? The sand of the sea is innumerable. So that's the metaphor being used here, that there's going to be a large army that are going to come to battle. And they went up, who? Gog or Magog. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed, meaning surrounded, the camp of the saints. So who are the saints? The saints are Israelites, pursuant to Psalms 50 and 5. And the camp of the saints is dealing with, on a physical level, the land of, or the city of Jerusalem, or that region. Which when you look into the word here for camp, the Greek word, which I already have it pulled up, it's parambole. And as you can see, one of the definitions here says a camp of Israel in the desert, used for the city of Jerusalem, inasmuch as that was the Israelites, inasmuch as that was to the Israelites what formerly the encampment had been in the desert. So basically, when we were dwelling in the wilderness, that camp that we were in later on came to be represented as Jerusalem. That place basically took that role. So going back to Revelation 20, right? And Jerusalem is in Israel. So basically what it's saying is here is that when Russia comes against Israel, particularly really that land, right? And as it goes on, and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and what? Devoured them. So as we're reading in Ezekiel 39, what did the Lord say? I will send fire, a fire on Magog, and among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am the Lord. So ultimately, well, one of the main ways the Lord is going to do that, besides the missiles, is going to be from the chariots, okay, from the lasers that are going to come out of his chariot to destroy. Verse 7, so will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. Yeah, so basically the Lord's name, right, the name Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, along with the fear and the respect and reverence that comes with it, is going to be refreshed. It's going to permeate through the earth once again, just like it did when he brought the judgment upon Egypt back in the ancient world. But now, because the Lord has hid himself from the world for so long, all right, and is only known to a few, his name has been polluted. Okay, it's been blasphemed, it's been polluted, and you can see it all about today. That's why even in the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter, it refers to America as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, and also the place where our Lord was crucified. Not that he was physically crucified, but that his name, his character, his anything that resembled him has been crossed out. So the Lord is going to get all that glory back when he brings his judgment. And the heathen shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh, the Holy One in Israel. So it's going to be very clear, all the stuff that are going on, that number one, this is a divine being, and number two, this is a judgment from a divine being, and number three, this divine being is the God of Israel, as we've been prophesying. Verse 8, behold, it is come, and it is done. And what is that? That great day of the Lord's judgment, right? That the vision, the prophecy that the Lord declared from the beginning. So behold, it is done, it is come, and it is done, saith the Lord Yahweh. This is the day whereof I have spoken. Okay, and that's that great day where the Lord brings his judgment. Verse 9, and they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers, the bows and the arrows, and the handstaffs and the spears, and they shall burn them with fire 7 years. Okay, now this is talking about they that dwell in the cities of Israel, is talking about the actual Israelites, primarily really starting with the elect. But because we know that the cities of Israel are going to be destroyed, right, in that war. And how exactly are we going to set on fire these weapons? Because remember, these are, remains of a nuclear war. And so all sorts of different kinds of weapons that are going to be used in this war, some of them might still be remaining. So we're going to go around and destroy all of those. And we're not going to do it by lighting a match, and then trying to set like some high technologically advanced weapon on fire. We're going to use spiritual power to do that. Okay, to completely, disintegrate all the different weapons that are going to be left. Okay, and as it says, and shall burn them with fire 7 years, which 7 years really just, means like a complete amount, however long it takes for us to get rid the world of these weapons. Because the job of these nuclear weapons is for World War III. Once that's done, they have no other purpose. And they're constructed in a way where, if humans can come up with it, but they can't destroy it without using it. Okay, but when the Lord changes us, we're going to have the ability to just, actually destroy these weapons, to dispose of them. And as we read in the book of Isaiah, the 2nd chapter and the 4th verse, and he shall judge among the nations, which is talking about Yahushua when he comes back, when he sets up his kingdom, right? He shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears, right? I believe that was one that was mentioned here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and the spears, right? Which is not talking about literal spears, but it's a representation of the weapons that will be used in this war. Okay, so as it says, and their spears into pruning hooks. So the spears and so on and so forth, these are weapons that are going to be turned into pruning hooks and plowshares, which are agricultural tools. Okay, and why is that? Because as we're about to read, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So after this Third World War, when the righteous are set in authority, after the use of these very destructive weapons, and once they get destroyed, there's going to be no more war. Therefore, we're not going to need those weapons anymore. Verse 10, so that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any out of the forest, for they shall burn the weapons with fire. And basically, this is just to emphasize that how much burning of these weapons is going to be, right? So much so that you're not going to need wood or trees to make a fire, because it's going to be already fire from the burning of these weapons. And they shall spoil those that spoiled them, right? So ultimately, who spoiled us? These heathens did, but primarily Esau, Edom. They took us for a prey. They took us for a spoil, and we're still a spoil on to this day. When they came in and even just going back a couple hundred years, took us from the different parts of the world. I mean, took us mainly from the western parts of Africa, but other parts as well, and sold us. Okay, we were taken for a spoil. We were made slaves and all of that. We were taken for a spoil. So when the Lord brings this judgment, we're gonna now have the upper hand. The table is gonna be flipped, and we're gonna take them for a spoil. They're gonna be our servants, right? And as it says, and rob those that rob them, saith the Lord Yahweh. So the Israelites are going to have the upper hand to be able to exact judgment upon those that had put us in captivity. Verse 11, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will give unto Gog a place there of graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea, which when you look this up in the other translations, they have the sea as the Dead Sea. So if we pull up a map, let's see, Dead Sea Bible map, which we should be familiar with where that's located, but you can see here, you have the land of Israel. This looks like a modern map, but if you look in the ancient world, all this region was part of Israel. And then you had the Dead Sea over here, okay, which, see, maybe we can find a better looking map. I got too much on here. Okay, this might do it. This might be okay. Yep. So you can see here the Dead Sea. You had the 5 cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, and then Zoar, and some of the different other other cities that were around, right? So it says east of the Dead Sea, or east of that sea. And when you read, as it says here, what the Lord is basically saying is He's going to make a graveyard, okay, on the east of the Dead Sea, as it says here, the valley of the passengers on the east of the Dead Sea, and it shall stop the noses of the passengers. When you read this, sometimes when you read this in the KJV, it's always good to pair it with some of these other translations, which you can get the sense overall of is this a meaning differential, is just how it's worded. Okay, but it's basically saying that due to that, all those bodies that are going to be buried over there, it is going to block that passage, so people are not going to be able to necessarily go through there, because that place is going to be set aside for burying. Okay, and as it says here, and there, right, in that area east of the Dead Sea, shall they bury Gog and all his multitude and they shall call it the valley of Hamon Gog, which just means, multitude of Gog. Because why is that? Because of all the dead bodies. Remember, as we read, that it says that Gog is going to fall upon the mountains of Israel. See? So all those troops and all that, they're going to die over there. And it's not just going to be the troops of Gog, but all the other ones that are gathered over there. The ones from the Arab nations and even U.S. troops and all of them. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of burying going on over there. But as it's highlighted in this chapter, dealing with Gog, the scripture saying here that we're going to be burying them. But as we read further, you'll understand that us as Israelites are not going to be digging with shovels and burying dead bodies. You're out of your mind if you think we're going to be doing that. Okay, we're going to have servants, okay, that are going to be doing that job. Verse 12, and 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land. So once again, how is that going to happen? Well, it's similar to when people say Pharaoh or the Egyptians built the pyramids. No, they didn't physically do it. They had servants and slaves that would do it. But, the saying is the Egyptians built the pyramids, right? So when the house of Israel is burying these bodies, it's not going to be actual Israelites burying these bodies. It's going to be the servants, the heathens, doing this work and this labor under our command. Okay. And as it says, 7 months, which is once again a complete amount of time. All right. However long it is that is going to be set apart for this burying to take place. Shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land. Right. So the land is going to be polluted because of all that bloodshed and all those bodies, but you need to bury those bodies. Okay. Verse 13, yea, all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown. The day, and renown meaning like a memorial, like a glorious day. Why? The day that I shall be glorified, saith the Lord Yahweh. So similar to how when we were delivered from Egypt, it was a renown. In this time, it's going to be as well, because it's going to be the day that the Lord destroyed our enemies and delivered us. Okay, and basically instilled righteousness upon the earth again. Verse 14, and they shall sever out men of continual employment. See, so we're going to set up, different groups. Okay, that are continual employment means just that. You're going to have work always. Passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth. So if there are any bodies, any bones, any still left, you're going to have people whose jobs it is to go about looking. And when they see any, right, they would bury them. So as it says here, to cleanse it, after the end of 7 months shall they search. So after that initial mass burying, you're going to have people that are going to go inspect. They're going to go looking, inspecting, making sure that there's no more bones or bodies upon the land. Verse 15, and and the passengers that pass through the land, when any seeth a man's bones, or a man's bone, they shall set up a sign by it, till the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hamon Gog. So as they go through inspecting, if they see any bone, they're going to put a sign over there so it's known that, hey, over here, you got some burying that needs to be done. So they're going to come take those bodies, they're going to bury them in that region that was set up. All right, that valley of Hamon Gog. And this way you can cleanse, all that out of there. And also the name of the city shall be Hamonah. Thus shall they cleanse the land. Let's look at this word in the Hebrew. All right. Hamawanah, as it says, multitudes, a name of a city to be founded to commemorate the defeat of Gog. So now let's go back. Verse 17, and thou, son of man, thus saith the Lord Yahweh. Speak. So this is once again all a prophecy. This is all prophecy. The Lord is telling Ezekiel to speak, to prophesy. All right, that this is what the Lord has set up to come to pass. Speak unto every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come, gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice, that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. So like I mentioned earlier above, the Lord is basically promised these fowls and these beasts, these scavengers, a meal unlike any other, that is going to result from the remains of this war. Verse 18, ye shall eat the flesh of the mighty, and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, of rams, of lambs, and of goats, of bullocks, all of them fatlings of Bashan. And ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till ye be drunken, of my sacrifice which I have sacrificed for you. And really, this is to say that the aftermath of this war is going to be there's going to be so much, death and dead bodies remaining, that it's going to be like a feast for these scavengers that come after, to be able to eat. Verse 20, thus ye shall be filled at my table with horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, saith the Lord Yahweh. Right, because these are the ones that are going to be on the actual battlefield, and hence they're going to be the ones that are going to die. Verse 21, and I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed, and my hand that I have laid upon them. See, so when the Lord brings this to come to pass, his glory, as he says, he's going to set his glory among the heathen, meaning they're going to fear him, okay? And they're going to glorify him through that fear by acknowledging, once again, all right, the one true living power, which is Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai. It says, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed. So there's going to be no confusion at this point as to who's doing this and what exactly is going on. It's going to be made clear that this is the judgment of the Heavenly Father, and my hand that I have laid upon them. Right, so the judgment that he brought upon them. Verse 22, so the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh their God from that day and forward. Yeah, so once again, the Lord is going to make it known, he's going to make himself known through his judgment. And from that point on forward, there's going to be no forgetting. We're not going to have any moment like we have now where people don't know the Most High, they don't regard the Lord. All of that is going to be done when the Lord brings his judgment. Once again, just like he did in the time of ancient Egypt. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. Yeah, so then it's going to be known that the only reason that we were put in this low place, okay, wasn't because these heathens were better than us or anything of that sort, but rather because of our transgressions, because we committed iniquity and trespassed against our God. He turned from us, and in doing so, he gave us into the hands of our enemies. Hence, we were, put in these different captivities, sold into slavery. And just basically we became a destroyed people, which when you look around the world today, you can see exactly what the Lord is talking about. As it reads, continuing, according to their uncleanness and according to their transgressions have I done unto them, and hid my face from them. And when you read the first few chapters, even in just the book of Ezekiel, you'll get the sense of what the Lord is talking about, as he highlights and points out to Ezekiel the different idol worship, the murders that are going on in the land, the adultery that's being committed, the deception, the sacrificing of babies and children to different gods, all these things that made them unclean, that were displeasing to the Lord. Israel did, and in return, the Lord took his presence away, and along with that, meant that the Lord took away his hedge, his hedge of protection, which is what led to, him bringing these other nations against us, bringing famines, bringing diseases, all of these different forms of judgment. Verse 25, Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, now will I bring again the captivity of Jacob. And once again, when the scriptures say here in the Old English to bring again the captivity of Jacob, it doesn't mean that the Lord is going to bring Jacob into captivity again. Bringing again the captivity of Jacob means he's going to do away with the captivity. He's gonna take us out of captivity. It's just because it's in the Old English, it's worded this way, but this is not what it means. Okay, what it means is the Lord is going to bring us out of captivity. And that's why he continues to say, and have mercy upon the whole house of Israel, and will be jealous for my holy name. So now it wouldn't make sense if the Lord is saying he's going to take us into captivity again and have mercy, because that's not mercy. Okay, the mercy is that he's gonna end our captivity. And as it reads, and be jealous for my holy name. So no longer is he going to allow his name to be polluted. After that, they have borne their shame, borne meaning to carry, to bear, right? After that, they have borne their shame and all their trespass, whereby they have trespassed against me, when they dwelt safely in their land, and none made them afraid. So basically, the Lord is going to have mercy, and at that point, after we've bared that shame that came with transgressing against the Lord, in the land, as it says, when we had it good, okay, but we trespassed and transgressed against the Lord, we ended up suffering and bearing that shame that came with that iniquity. But now is the Lord going to have mercy upon us, right? When I have brought them again from the people and gathered them out out of their enemies' lands, because what was one of the curses that the Lord was going to bring upon us for transgressing? Like Deuteronomy 28:64, he was going to scatter us into the land of our enemies, and we were going to, serve different idols and basically be subject unto them over there. But now that the Lord is going to have mercy, he's saying he's going to gather us out of those different lands. It says, and am sanctified in them in the sight of many nations. See, so because right now the Lord's name is polluted among us because of the condition that we're in. But once the Lord, delivers us and purifies us and beautifies us, that's going to make him and his name even more holy. To be able to say, this is the God of Israel, and that is, that comes with a good reputation, that comes with a good, connotation. It's not, this is the God of Israel, and then you look at Israel and you're like, damn, that doesn't look too good. It doesn't reflect well on your God. Similar to when you have a child that's very, if you were to go to a parent-teacher conference and you just hear terrible news about your child, it doesn't look good on you as a parent. But if you were to hear amazing news about your child, then it makes you look like an even better parent, right? So now you're glorified in your child, in the sight of everybody, right? Verse 28, then shall they know that I am the Lord Yahweh their God, which caused them to be led into captivity among the heathen. But I have gathered them out of their own land. I have gathered them onto their own land, and have left none of them any more there. So the Lord is he's gonna gather us, starting with the elect, okay, but he's gonna take us into our land, pursuant to Baruch chapter 2, and get into the last verse, okay, and all Israel, as the scriptures say, is gonna be saved, okay, and at that point, all Israel is gonna know, through experience, the Lord, not just by hearing about him, but they're gonna know who Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is. Verse 29, neither will I hide my face any more from them, for I have poured out my spirit upon the house of Israel, saith the Lord Yahweh. And that's pretty much the end of the book of Ezekiel chapter 39. Okay, so Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Merchak Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.